Love staying informed? Subscribe now and get unlimited access to local news, weather, and sports for just 99 cents a month for your first 3 months at inform.news/join. Read every story, listen to every podcast, and download the apps that keep you informed and on the go 24 hours a day. So head to inform.news/join right now to subscribe. What are you waiting for? Get 3 months of local news for just 99 cents a month at inform.news/join.
Hey, Plain Talk listeners, have something to say? Call or text Plain Talk with your questions, comments, or headlines you want us to cover.
Just dial 701-587-3141. Leave us your message or shoot us a text with your name and location, and you could be featured on an upcoming show.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and I am in Jamestown.
Hey, Rob and Chad. My name's Tony. I live in Grand Forks.
That's 701-587-3141.
Call us, text us, vent, praise.
We want you in the conversation. Thanks for being part of the show.
Now let's get back to today's episode.
You're listening to Plain Talk, the voice of North Dakota politics. I'm your host, Rob Port. If I sound distracted, it's because I've been busy covering this story all morning. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad Oban.
He's right of center, I'm left of center, both sides of the political spectrum.
I think it's cathartic. I think it's a necessary and proper debate. I'm glad we're having it.
And honestly, we have to do better.
Okay. I don't know why I'm getting blamed for this, right? Welcome to Plain Talk. We're on a little bit of a hiatus right now. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, we have some reruns that we're running. And this one is an interview we did with Representative Josh Christy, who did represent District 27. Now, Representative Christy passed away during the legislative session, tragically, but still had a profound impact on the session. Some of the bills that he introduced ended up becoming law. Now, this specific interview was about artificial intelligence and obviously our struggle with the good and the bad and the ugly. Josh was an expert on this area of subject matter. He brought his expertise not just to the Republican caucus, but as you know, in a previous interview when we were talking to House Minority Leader Zach Ista, he was even willing to help share this information with the Democratic caucus as well. He was passionate about this. He was a good lawmaker. This was a good interview, and I think it's still interesting and relevant now.
Yeah, I think, I think this interview was interesting and certainly relevant. And I will tell you throughout this conversation, it was it's something that we have to tackle, right? We can't just be afraid of AI. It's something that's a part of our lives. This interview helped me understand that I can't just run away from AI, even though the concept sort of freaks me out a little bit. It was a very interesting conversation.
Like many things, it's a powerful tool. And a lot of its value lays in the people using it. But anyway, here's our interview with Representative Josh Christy. Thanks for listening to Plain Talk. You know, artificial intelligence is one of those things where we are talking about it endlessly. And it reminds me of social media of maybe a generation ago, where there's so much optimism. Some of which is probably over the top. You know, it becomes almost utopian in its scope. And then there's the other side of the coin where it's pessimism, where all of societal ills are going to be hung on it. And I think the truth is, as it so often is, probably in the middle of those two extremes, where AI is going to bring a lot of challenges with it, and maybe some bad things for our society. But on the other side, it's really going to revolutionize some things and really make a lot of lives easier. So here to talk with us about that is Representative Josh Christy. He has been he's now heading into his second legislative session, and he works with artificial intelligence in his day job. He's a consultant. He's a long background in obviously, I don't know. Tell us a little bit about your background, Josh. Let's start there.
Yeah, I appreciate thanks for having me on, Rob and Chad. My first full-time job, I would say, past a paper route, was working for the school district when I was 14. I went and reformatted computers in the summer and pulled power and fiber for computer labs. So that's been the last 30 years of my life has been in technology to some sort. So this is definitely a passion project for me.
So, and you do consulting, you work with AI now in your day job, correct?
Yes, I do.
So tell us, you have sort of a raft of ideas or a raft of plans, bill drafts. We're heading into a legislative session. And as I looked at, you sent us kind of a review. Maybe you generated this with AI. I don't know. But you sent us kind of a summary of what you were looking at. And it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I mean, some of it is, hey, let's develop the economic infrastructure or the policies needed to foster North Dakota as a place where AI can thrive. In particular, you're looking at like data centers and maybe using excess gas that the oil industry is producing in Western North Dakota to power data centers, which I think is really interesting. But also you're talking about guardrails too, because this is a new thing, and how do we incorporate this? So, I mean, as we're heading into a legislative session, I think AI is going to be a big debate. What are your priorities? I mean, what are you looking at? What do you hope to accomplish this session?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. As you guys know, we get kind of one bite at the apple every 2 years here. And 2 years ago, generative AI was not something anyone was talking about. And now we've got ChatGPT and Bard and Copilot and, insert every other tool you've ever heard of has some AI component to it. So I want to make sure that we are pushing policy and funding bills so that we are attractive to industry. But there's also some guardrails there that we're working with the AG's office on, the Attorney General's office on, and making sure that we put the right boundaries in place, because with any sort of technology, there's the good, the bad, the ugly, and we just want to make sure that what we're doing is set up in the right way. And been having a lot of really, really good conversations with government and industry over the last 6 months. Just trying to drive this forward, because I do see this as being something that we need to advance within the state.
Josh, thanks for coming on to talk about this. I got to be honest, I read your white paper, and as somebody who doesn't understand AI and who often glosses over when people start talking about AI, I read it and I couldn't follow a lot of what was going on. And I don't say that because the way I approach AI is it's so big, it's so complicated, it's a little scary. And I'm only 48. I'm not that old, even though I sound like I'm probably pretty old here. Can you, like, the listeners of this thing, should they be scared of AI? What does AI look like in the future? Why are these bills important to just the average voter that's out there listening, or the average Chad Oban who's participating in this conversation? Like, just can you dumb it down for what we should be concerned about, what we're trying to accomplish?
Yeah, and I apologize for that. I feel like I'm trying to do human speak, and sometimes us technologists get so high level that it.
Josh, I don't think this is about you. I think this is more about me, if we're being honest. Your paper is fine.
Okay. uh, um, yes. So John Connor is not coming back as the Terminator and gonna get us. AI is an interesting topic when we start thinking about it, and the way I like to look at it is think Google and the search engines in 2000, 2002, when this is really a tool that can help us advance what we're doing, and stop doing $10 an hour work and start doing $100 an hour work. From a workforce standpoint, I know for a couple guys that write for a living, it might be a little unnerving to see all these tools coming out. But I really truly believe that AI allows us to move the ball forward, and it's it's something that, like I said before, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we need to make sure that we're putting those guardrails around um, when people use technology. So one of the bills that I've worked with the Attorney General's office on is around what's called generative AI, and that's to generate content, images, things of that nature. And what we were told in interim committee was that people are using this to essentially generate images of children in compromising situations. So we've got a bill that allows that to be prosecutive, um, with basically as if you would have taken a photo. So we want to make sure that we're addressing that side of things, but we also want to make it, North Dakota's got a very good regulatory environment and energy environment to attract these data centers for AI as well. So there's definitely two sides of the coin, and we want to be cognizant of both.
There are two sides of the coin, and I want to get into some of your ideas for, sort of the economic development. How can North Dakota, get in on this burgeoning industry? But since we're talking guardrails, obviously, as somebody who does write for a living, when the search engines came along, it was great because Google basically, there were all these people like me at the time. I was a blogger, and we're putting content on the internet, and Google helped people find us, and that was great. AI comes along, and it scooped up the work that a lot of people like me and millions of other people and, my colleagues at journalists at the forum and other places scooped our work up, and now uses it not to help people find us, but to generate new content or to provide the information that we develop to people without them ever clicking us or us getting paid or finding us or even knowing who we are at all. How do we, I mean, that seems to me, that seems fundamentally unethical and wrong. And it just kind of seems like it's happened and everybody's shrugging their shoulders and we're just going to move on with it and forget about the fact that there was highway robbery that happened here.
I can definitely see that from your position, Rob. The challenge I would probably put back to you is this is this a tool that we can use to generate ideas and then make more human after the fact? Think of before calculators came along, we had to do all of our math by.
Yeah. But I'm not talking about like going forward. I'm talking about the reason how AI knows how to develop ideas is because it stole work from people like me.
Mhm. I I can definitely see that angle and that opinion. Um, does that allow you to do higher level work, or is that solely a like, as you said, kind of a theft or a um, uh, pushing you out of a job?
I don't know. I mean, I will say I use AI. We use AI to produce this show. We run the audio through and it fixes background noises and everything. It's great. I use AI at times to data analyze large spreadsheets. It was actually very handy coming through the election season when I was getting FEC filings that had thousands and thousands of pages. It helped me analyze it. Now, of course, I went back and double checked anything that I eventually used. But in terms of like analyzing stuff like that, I think it's a fantastic tool. I guess what concerns me, and maybe that's my question, is in terms of public policy in North Dakota, is there anything we can do to protect people who are generating content that is then being used for AI models, for AI companies to monetize and profit from?
Yes. So there's some model legislation that we're putting forward. One of them was the generative AI with uh, picture creation, and kind of put that under uh, child porn, or however you want to phrase that. There's also the opportunity from, think of name and image and likeness from the sports side of things, that we can put some stuff in place that talks about, uh, if you're a public figure, somebody can't use. There's video tools out there that you can go record yourself for 3 minutes, and all of a sudden you can feed it a script, and it can have me read the Declaration of Independence, and it looks just like we're on camera right now. So there's things that we want to be able to put in place to say, you know what, I can't pretend to be Chad or Rob in a video, in a campaign video, or representing your company or anything of that nature. So there's definitely some guardrails that we can put in there that really help frame in, um, some boundaries, because we don't know where AI is going to go over the next 2 years here. It Like I said, it is kind of the Wild West, and we didn't know about this 2 years ago, and who knows 2 years in the future where we're going to be, and who's going to be, at the state level here in North Dakota. So
Josh, I think about AI in terms of schools quite a bit. And teachers are trying to figure out how do you how do you integrate AI into school, right? I mean, it reminds me of you just said the calculator. I mean, you remember, all of us probably, oh, you're using the calculator, you're cheating. I don't remember the last time I didn't use a calculator. Internet, all these different things. So how do you make sure that as students are using AI, that they're not losing some of those other skills that we want them to have? And how do we not demonize kids that are using AI? I will tell you, I'm on a board that looked at scholarship applications, and a couple were thrown out because board members are like, oh, they used AI to produce this application. I'm not sure we should be demonizing those kids for using this tool. Like, how do you how do you integrate this new technology into teaching the kids?
I think there's kind of two parts to that. One is, we need to put some policy in, so that there are some regulations, so that teachers, students aren't putting what's called FERPA or HIPAA, or these private information into these tools, assuming that it's safe to do. The last thing I want is for a teacher to get reprimanded or fired, because they're working on a school assignment and they want to leverage technology. And we have no guardrails to do that right now. So I think that's one piece. The more to your point, the way to look at it, in my opinion, is this is a tool. You need to critically think about the question you're asking. It's very similar to, you're typing something into Google and you're getting back a result. And so you need to be able to know what it is you're asking, what you're looking for. From an educational standpoint, that's not my wheelhouse.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think that at the end of the day, it's a critical thought process that the student, the teacher, whoever it is that is putting in information, is looking for a result from something, or an answer to something. And so I think that critical thinking aspect is really the key piece of it.
How do we, and I guess one last question on the guardrail. The other thing that I'm thinking of is we're living in an era where, social media, the internet has enabled a lot of people to kind of live in their own version of reality. And I don't know, it's certainly not unique to any one ideology. I think it's across the spectrum, but there's a lot of people out there who believe things that are fundamentally untrue. And so if AI comes along and now we can create a video of our governor and make it look like he's saying just about anything that we want him to say, how is that not bad for society where we can, do, I mean, obviously maybe that's some of the guardrails you're talking, I mean, you're already talking about legislation where we can't do that. And I guess the AI companies, the models themselves, because they're so expensive to operate, you've got to have, that becomes a choke point where we can regulate them. But I mean, we're living in an era. I mean, it feels like we're going to be playing whack-a-mole, trying to find people using this and abusing it in ways, to mislead the public and manipulate them.
And we've seen that with social media, with foreign adversaries and everyone trying to manipulate elections already. So it definitely is a thing. And a lot of the services that you sign up for, so the video tool I was talking about, they have to show your ID and then record yourself. So they're trying to. I think industry is trying to make sure that it is who you say you are. But the underlying technology, there's open source software projects out there that you can download, and if you're technology versed, you can go create these own things yourself with very little effort. So that is out there. That is something that we need to put in place either at the state or the federal level to say, this is not okay to do. And I think this is just another advancement in the technology world of another challenge we're going to have to face. But we don't want to take it too far to limit, like you said, the marketing efforts of your podcast. Like there's a balancing act between those two.
So, Josh, one of the things you talk about in your in the document that you sent to us is sort of the lack of cohesive infrastructure around AI, and you've got some ideas on how we can do better. I mean, we've got some advantages in North Dakota, right? We have energy, we have space, we have smart people, we have some. You mentioned an EERC style entity to do this work. Can you talk about how your plan would sort of connect all these dots in this world that seems very disjointed?
Yeah, definitely. North Dakota has a very unique model on a few different business lines. The Bank of North Dakota, which is state owned. We've got the North Dakota Mill. We've got kind of EERC as a co-op model. And so my thought and is, instead of our research institutes and our Department of Commerce and our private industry, all trying to do these data center or AI initiatives, is there a way that we can pool resources together and make this more viable for everybody within the state, make it more attractive to bring in some of the major data centers, whether that's Oracle, Meta, Google, insert the laundry list from there, and then allow that to have the state have resources as part of that going forward. So that's kind of my thought process, is not trying to put it into a silo or a vertical, but can we kind of pool our thoughts together and really work together as multiple entities to drive this forward.
And just a quick follow-up, Rob, if I could. And is there a cost associated with this? I mean, are you looking for an appropriation to sort of get this off the ground?
I have a couple appropriations bills that are going to be going through, a few policy bills. The appropriations would be for something that in our industry is called compute credits, which, think of it as just computing resources. So being able to create a lift style fund that we can put a board in front of and be able to grant those funds out to attract better deal flow through commerce, and then also grant those resources back out to research institutes or whatever the panel or the board deems necessary. within that. There are some funds that are wrapped up in agency budgets right now as well. The way I look at AI is we have kind of two sides of it. We have creation of AI, which is, think of ChatGPT. That got created by Greg Brockman and Sam Altman and a series of really, really smart people. And then we have consumption. So that would be people that are using ChatGPT. So there's a lot of agency budgets that currently have um, access to the Microsoft AI platform that are getting wrapped up into budgets as well. So there's a complex series of AI pieces that are getting wrapped up into either appropriations or policy budgets.
By the way, we should point out one of ChatGPT's founders, Greg Brockman, resident of or from Thompson, North Dakota, went to Red River High School. So, one thing that really caught my eye too was because I think I'm always interested when we could kind of use or use North Dakota's, what do you want to call them, legacy industries, traditional industries, and use them to sort of power our way or as an advantage to get in to emerging industries. And so one thing you were talking about was using North Dakota's natural gas. We have tons of it. So much of it, sometimes we burn it off as a waste byproduct of oil production, which is not great. And it's something that we've been working on and trying to address. So one of the things you're talking about is using some of that to power data centers, because that's one of the, I don't know what you want to call them, bottlenecks for data centers, is that they consume a ton of power. Now, we've already seen a push for data centers in North Dakota. There's been some public pushback because some of them, maybe I'm thinking particularly one in Williston, maybe you could say hasn't been such a great neighbor at times, but that seems like an opportunity for North Dakota. We've already been pushing it, and I think it's unfortunate that sometimes they've been pushed under the banner of cryptocurrency and not AI or some of the other applications that data centers can be used for. I think that was a mistake. But talk about that a little bit, because data centers does, to me, again, not an expert in this field at all, but that's something that seems like it would make a lot of sense for North Dakota if we could get some of those here.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of the crypto mining facilities that are our good partners. There's certainly ones that would come in and try to do a money grab as well. I think just with any industry, but based on my research, North Dakota flares about 24% of all the natural gas in the U.S. And that's millions and millions of dollars that's just going up into the air. So how do we capture that? Trying to get a pipeline. I'm located here in Fargo. To get a pipeline from the western part of the state to the eastern part of the state has proven challenging at best. So can we put some data centers out where they're flaring the gas and recapture that energy that's just going into the sky? We've got a really good data center project that's going into Ellendale, North Dakota. And they are using baseline energy from the state in terms of coal, natural gas, what the utility partners provide. And then they are using wind energy on top of that. And so they're also building a whole bunch of amenities around the community that have been really, really great. So that's my hope, is that we can attract more of these partners that really want to invest in the communities they're going into, and make a strong case.
How do we do that legislatively?
The biggest thing, what I've been told from industry right now, is we have one of the best power utilization rates in the nation. So they are looking for us right now. I originally thought there's the concept of green electrons and black electrons, which means renewable energy versus traditional energy. And I originally had made the assumption that we had to go green to attract them. But what industry has been telling me is that they are looking for the best economic and business opportunities they have. So it feels like they are coming here no matter what. It's not a quick turnaround. Like these data centers take some time to get built.
I'm sorry, just real quick on your black versus green. I mean, sometimes that's a black and white. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it. I would argue it's a green initiative if you can build a data center that's capturing natural gas that's currently being flared. That, to me, that's green. Isn't it much better to use it for something productive? And now you've created a new customer for industries for a product that we're already producing. You've created a new customer for it. We're not wasting it anymore. It's getting used, and we brought in a new industry.
100%, absolutely.
Josh, thinking about who is going to be in the chambers with you in January, I'm guessing there's not a lot of folks in those chambers that understand AI. This coming from the guy whose first question was, explain to me this because I don't understand this. How do you convince your colleagues who generally are a little bit older, and it feels out there, right? I mean, AI feels out there, and it's coming fast, but how do you explain to them that this is something that they need to engage in, that it's not something that's scary? Because I do worry that, if the idea is just that AI is scary and it's ruining everything, let's just clamp down a little bit too much on it. What do those conversations look like with some of your more seasoned legislative colleagues?
Well, you both got phone calls from me over the last week. I've got about 350 phone calls in the last week to talk with legislators and lobbyists. And
Oh, man, I thought we were special. I thought we were at the top of the list.
Rob, you and Chad were one too. So
Oh, okay.
Take that, LaFour and Hogue.
Yeah. I'm gonna choose to believe that's true.
There's definitely a little bit of a marketing spin that needs to happen. This is workforce development. This is economic development. This is legacy for the state. This is not about the technology. The technology is just the hammer that we're using to pound the nails in. My hope, I'm going into my sophomore term here. My hope and my legacy within the state is, when we run out of natural resources, what can we replace it with? And again, my hammer is technology. So can we start attracting the right companies to the state? Can we advance our policy in the right way? But it is going to take a little bit, to your point, Chad, a little bit of spin to do that, because it's not understood really well at this point in time from the majority of people. And that's not to speak down to my colleagues in the House or the Senate at all, but
Yeah. One last thing, Governor-elect Armstrong, have you had conversations with him about AI?
I've been in touch with his incoming office about it, just letting him know what I'm putting forward. So they're aware of what's or they will be aware. I've got an email coming out after this episode probably airs here, so they'll have the information.
Well, Josh, I really appreciate you coming on. This is a fascinating topic. I feel like we could have done a whole hour. And in fact, I'm looking forward, once, we get some bills filed, and once, the legislative session gets going, I'm sure we're going to have you on again to talk about this, because I think it's important. I think it's important. I think the guardrails part of it is important, because, we need to, there's things we need to protect. There's things, the stuff about generating images of celebrities and using them, basically stealing from them by using them in ways that they're not approving. Creating images of children for disgusting purposes. That stuff's low-hanging fruit. There's probably some more complicated areas, but then also the other side. How can North Dakota be a part of this? How can we attract? How can we make this work with our traditional industries and benefit North Dakotans? It's a great debate to have. Good stuff. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you, guys.
That's it for today on Plain Talk, the voice of North Dakota politics. Plain Talk is a production of Forum Communications Company. Got a question, comment, or suggestion? Leave us a voicemail or send us a text message at 701-587-3141. That's 701-587-3141. If you haven't subscribed to Plain Talk yet, you can find us on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. For those of you who are already hooked, give us a rating or review. And don't forget to share or tell a friend. Special thanks to my co-host Chad Oban, and from myself and everyone at Plain Talk, thanks for listening.